didn't start anywhere for me. It just waltzed into a gym one day and was hitting the bag, didn't know much of anything. Knew I liked to scrap though because I'd always was having fights on the street, and I knew I had a solid left hand. At that time, I didn't really like sparring a lot of that back then because I was in the adults class and there was a few adults who used to kick shit out of me a bit, so it was quite tough back then. But then I remember just as the years were going by, I was just loving it more and more, and when I sort of got to the age of 15 and I was Thai boxing and that, and I turned professional, so we had to lie about my age, saying I was 18 when I was really 15, and I just started fighting. Loved fighting, didn't really like the training aspect of things. Trained hard enough, but not as well as I could have, but I was only a kid, but no one pushed me into it. I was biking the gym and back, and I was, you know, I was doing it myself, all off my own back. And a few years went by in the Thai boxing scene. I had a lot of fights around the world, mainly Thailand, Romania, fought in Canada, fought a lot in England, Scotland, Wales, etc, etc. And then I had a few unlicensed boxing fights, I had a few K1 fights, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then I found Team Kaobon, and I spoke to now one of my best mates in the world, Terry Atom at the time, who was a UFC fighter, and I come down and I'd done a few private sessions, and just from that the gym was just so animalistic. There was so much of a regiment here, and I just loved everything about it. And I already knew from a kid, 12 years of age, I knew I wanted to do this for the rest of my life, but when I found Team Kaobon, I'd found myself.
He's a bit mental, isn't he, to be honest? You've got to have that little bit of a different thing about you. I mean, you say the same about me, I suppose most people do. You can't be normal to be in this game. Darren probably walked through the doors when he was about 17. I think he was half interested, half wanted to test the water with MMA. Obviously had a good Muay Thai career early on. He was quite well known on the Muay Thai circuit.
It's like he looked right through me, like I was a ghost. It took a long time to get Colin's approval.
His fight IQ is super high, and that's the first thing I noticed about him. I mean, obviously he's big for the weight. He hits like a horse. You know, he's probably got the strongest left hand I've ever felt, to be honest. But what impressed me more than that was his IQ and the way he can adapt, the way he's a master of range. He's got very simple tools, but it's the way he sets them up, the way he plays. He kind of plays like cat and mouse with his opponents, which is the impressive thing at that level anyway. At the level he fights at, to still be able to manipulate people mentally, dominate them mentally, and make them do things they don't want to do is what impresses me.
I always knew Colin had a soft spot for me though at the start, because he knew I liked fighting, and that's what Colin's known for. He knows if you like a scrap, he respects you. And I was coming into Kaobon at a young age, just having it with all the top dogs, and I wasn't bothered slightly by it, so I knew he had a soft spot. But Colin's just like the main fucking man. He is what everyone calls him. He's the gaffer.
There's a lot of big names from the city, a lot of influencers that came onto my gym, and it's a good testing ground as to where you are as a fighter, because you've got very limited rules, whereas Muay Thai is probably as unlimited as you go and get in a striking style, but there's nothing beats that what happens if you get taken down. And I think that's what turned him on. I think he wanted to test himself first and foremost to see if he could do it and see if he was cut out for it, and he was, obviously.
He's like the master of life, and he's like the Pai Mei out of Kill Bill. He's just pure. It's very simple with Colin. You know where you stand, you know what he is, you know what he wants. Never had a crossed word ever in my life with him. I couldn't have a crossed word. He's my master.
Well, we got to achieve what we set out to achieve. You know, he wants to be the best fighter that ever walked. He wants to maybe have 2 belts around his waist. That's what he said he wants to me, and that's what I said we're going to do. So until we do that, we ain't stopping.
to be great. It's always the same conversation, to be great every day. I'm trying to be great in these four walls. I've been here now 15 years and I'm still trying to be great.